Hello everyone. This is my week 22 recap. Um, Seems like every week that I'm doing this, I'm learning just like a little bit more about myself. It seems like it's just something just a little bit interesting that that you have to work on. And as I started the week, I kind of was starting how I ended last week, where I was just kind of focused on a couple subjects, mostly health and work at that time. And I I noticed, and I've just as a little bit of a backstory here, I I jog a lot, about about 4 times a week and about 3 miles uh, a day, and I've been running on my running path for years. So it has to be about 2003. So almost 10 years. I mean, it's 9 years now. And I have noticed that it is come up just recently that I've developed this fear of like dogs. And I really started to notice it on Wednesday. I had been noticing it periodically, but it just all of a sudden just really started creeping up on me this past week and became this very strong terror. And you sometimes, and not all the time, actually it's pretty infrequently, but sometimes when I'm jogging on this path, you'll hear some dogs barking. You're just jogging past somebody's house and you'll hear the dog barking. And for whatever reason, and of course I go real early in the morning, about like 5 o'clock in the morning, so it's dark and there's really not much going on. So just the noise of that is enough to startle you. But it's like I couldn't shake it. I mean, it's one thing to be kind of like, oh, what is that, and then recognize it as a dog, and then be like, okay, whatever, because typically they are back in a caged area, and really pose no threat to you. But for whatever reason, it just seemed like, even though I kind of knew that on intellectual level, it was like I was still jogging, I was still carrying this fear with me, and I was kind of like fearful that it was going to happen again, or that I would come up next to another place that had a dog, and I had been noticing that this had been happening more frequently. As my fear had progressed, all of a sudden the incidence of dogs barking had been progressing. So I was attracting this. I had to be, because I've been jogging this path for years and never had an issue. And all of a sudden, because I all of a sudden developed this fear, and I would feel the fear even as I was just started to jog. I hadn't even experienced anything yet, and all of a sudden I would kind of, this anticipation of something's going to happen would come over me, and then all of a sudden, of course, I would get startled by a few dogs or whatnot. So I realized, because I'm having this strong fear, that this is something that I got to take care of, or I felt like I was going to attract, a dog attack or something, that was going to attack me. I mean, that's where that fear was coming. It was headed to, I felt. So on like Friday, I really started doing some focus wheels, and I think on Sunday night I started doing like positive aspects of my jogging path, and just making myself feel a little bit better. Like saying things like, I've jogged this path for you know 9 years, never had any issues. Um, People in America tend to be a little bit more responsible with their pets. I've been to Europe, I've been Hungary mostly, and people aren't quite as responsible. In America, we kind of take pets on as part of the family, so we tend to be a little bit more responsible with our pets. So those things are true. I mean, things that you just kind of positively reinforce, so you just feel a little bit better. And that, coupled with another realization that I had, which probably contributed to the fear of the dogs, was I've been focusing on fixing problems. Fixing things. Trying to get like things that I'm real resistant on, and trying to work them up and work them up and work them up and push them to get them to that happy place. And I came to the realization that I'm really not helping myself by doing that. I really need to just stay in a real happy place. If something is dragging me down and bringing my happiness down, then I need to focus on that and try to work it up. But then go back to something that just makes you feel better, and essentially try to ignore them, so that way they are such an insignificant part of your life, and just focus on trying to just be in that happy state. And again, only focusing on it if it's bringing you down and getting you to like this circumstance with the dogs, get you to that place. So I came to that realization. It was kind of that aha moment, and I realized the mistake I was making. So I just really started, focusing on things that were making me happy, and whatnot, and try not to focus on areas where I'm a little bit weak at, and just bring myself down. So really just trying to milk that good feeling. And so I got up in the morning this morning, and I really was in a pretty good mood, and and I'm ready to go jogging, and was not fearful as I went jogging. And first, yeah, I didn't even get past one block, and I saw something crawling into the in the trees, in the bushes, and I thought it was a possum, which I see sometimes when I'm jogging. And as I got closer, it kind of turned back and came up a little closer across the street and was looking at me, and I realized it was a dog. So I just stopped, and I realized as I stood there and I just kind of put my hands on my waist, kind of like, well, what are you gonna do, And I realized I wasn't in that terror, fearful state. I was prepared in case the dog was gonna do something, but I wasn't in that fearful state anymore. And I just kind of just watched the dog, and just and then eventually the dog just kind of darted off, because I think it thought I was going to go try to catch it, and it was happy to be free. So I realized that it really wasn't a dangerous dog or anything like that. But again, 5 o'clock in the morning, you see the dog, you don't really know what. It's difficult to really see the intentions of the dog anyway, but it was, I felt like that was like a confirmation that it's a good thing that I cleaned up my vibration before I got to that point, because that could have been a situation where maybe the universe would have responded to me and responded to my vibration of a dog attack, I guess. But I just thought it was something interesting that I just kind of knew it. I felt like it was happening. I could see where this was going, and sure enough, I get to that part, and there's the dog. And so, but I was happy that I was in a much better place emotionally, so I was able to be prepared for that. So, to make a long story short, the real thing that I've learned is from this week, and it was the big message that I got from this week, is to try not to work so hard at focusing on these areas where I'm weak at, and get them up. Only do it if I need to. Other than that, just try to get happy. Just try to stay happy, for as long as possible. And when that doesn't work, that's the only other thing I'm supposed to do, is just try to find another subject and just get happy. And so that's something that I hadn't been doing. I kind of had been thinking I need to get every subject up to a place where I'm just happy, 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 happy. And then meanwhile, I'm not really milking experiences that I could be using to get myself happy now. I'm kind of like waiting to get these other subjects up, which have been working. I had been getting them up and getting them in a better place, but I had been ignoring the now. And I need to start getting happy now. So that's where I'm at today. So it's always something, I guess. But it's very interesting, the things that I'm learning, again about myself. So it's definitely something that's improving my state of being, I feel. Okay, that's it. Again, I'll talk with everyone next week, and thank you and take care.